What's up, musicians? Dane here, back at it again with another TML interview. This is going to be 3 parts because we're talking about 3 different things with Corey Foster. Now, Corey's a good friend of mine as well as one of my musical mentors, and he is the drummer for Dove Driver. He's a drummer for Indubious and the drummer for his own personal project, the Corey Foster Collective. And today, he's going to be talking about gigging. Why? Because he just got back from touring with Indubious, and they're back here, and Corey has some fantastic stories to tell. So without further ado, let's check it out. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Musician Lifestyle. My name is Dane, and this is one of my very close friends and mentors, Corey Foster.
Yeah, pleasure to be here, man.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I wanted to ask you just got back from touring with Indubious.
Yep.
How was it?
Amazing. It's always amazing. We have a great time. Yeah, man. We try to keep it real lighthearted on the road. And then when showtime starts, try to really positively affect people. So it's always a good time.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what is that like? We're going on tour for someone that's never been on tour or something. How does it start? And when you hit the road, what is the planning that goes on before hitting the road?
So your question of, when does it start?
Yeah.
Sort of like in terms of a career or, okay. So, yeah, typically, once let's say you're in a band, I think that's really the first step. In order to be going on tour regularly, things kind of have to be, some money's got to be rolling in because it's kind of expensive to be on the road. So you kind of have to be in a band that it has already been playing regular shows in your town or surrounding towns. And so once you have that going on, you're playing in a band and, things are going good in town. You start to basically the whole point of touring is expanding into different markets and growing your audience. So the planning that goes into that is really simply looking at, if you're being business minded, what towns and what markets are going to receive you well, right? So the planning around that basically, you could play in any town. I mean, we could go into the middle of nowhere, and if it's the right kind of culture for the music that you're playing, it could be better than maybe the nearest huge city even, So you basically go around and pick these places, and, you try to do your best with being efficient in terms of traveling. But yeah, the planning is basically just routing and trying to make sure that your costs are at least allowing you to break even when you get back. And you'd be surprised, a lot of even really well-known acts, it takes them a little while to figure out how to efficiently tour and come back with a little money in their pocket. With
a lot of tours, you hear horror stories, things like that. I have to ask, was there anything that you can share that kind of went wrong and you had to roll with the punches, or?
Oh, yeah. I think plenty of things happen. One of the things that regularly happens for most touring musicians is backline. Okay, so those of you who don't know what backline is basically the gear that is provided at a venue or at a festival for an artist that is coming in with no gear. Let's say you got off a plane in, a different city. Your manager or whoever's, booking with that festival would say, hey, we're flying in. We need this, this, and this, and this to play our show. And those items are considered backlines. So you might ask, hey, what's your backline at this club? Do you have a drum set? All of that. We've shown up at shows and they said, oh yeah, we got a kit. We have a Nord, stage 2 or whatever, and we show up and there's nothing there, or, half of it's there. And yeah, so I might have played countless shows where I brought my own kit and and I was never asked to backline for the rest of the show. And some of these shows, there's like 4, 5, 6 bands, and then there's an artist from another country that's there, of course, with no gear. You can't fly with the whole drum set or something. They're like, hey, man, I don't have anything. The festival doesn't have it. So,
Ooh.
of course, you know, like, that's probably, I would say, the most common occurring, you know, thing that we kind of have to work with is just sheer, like, equipment coordination. And I always just try to make sure the show rolls on. Recently, I was just on tour with Indubious, as Dane mentioned. We went from Portland all the way through the Midwest to the East Coast and back. Our anchor date was Reggae in the Park in Philadelphia. We were like 2 days away. I think we were in maybe St. Louis or somewhere in Ohio. I can't recall. And we found out that Reggae in the Park was canceled. It's a huge festival, like 10,000 person festival. And regardless of why it was canceled, I actually never found out. But I mean, there's tons of artists that are flying in from all over the world to play there.
Right.
And
oh, man.
For us, it was an anchor date, which is the date or dates that a tour is booked around. So we were originally going to just fly in for that show. And our booking manager was like, hey, why don't you make a run out of it so that, you know, you can keep building the market through the Midwest and also back, help with gas money and make more money. So we're there, got all these kind of smaller shows, and our big anchor, our big paycheck show gets canceled. So, you know, we're like, oh man, you know, and bottom line, you can't let those things get you down, because some of those things, when they happen, I mean, for that financially for us, was, you know, something that can drastically change the outcome of a tour.
Right.
I mean, it can, a show getting canceled like that can take it from something that is a decent paycheck to losing money. And, you know, you got to find gas money. And luckily it wasn't that bad for us. But I talk about this sort of way of dealing with things a lot with my family and with people. Whenever something is going, like, quote unquote wrong, there's such a, you have so much power in terms of how you receive something. And knowing that life is going to throw you challenges, and that, you know, it's all here for us to learn from it and grow from, is huge. And I just, I recommend everybody kind of has a little bit more of that perspective when things go wrong. Sometimes my wife, I just got married. Yeah, sometimes my wife is upset with how calm and, like, almost careless I am when something really bad happens, and it's just like, man, that's it. You know, I'm still having a good time. A lot of these things that go wrong in our life are so shallow when we put so much importance on them. Mm-hmm. But overall, man, like, health, vitality, and how we affect people is number one, and it should be. Right. So when a big show gets canceled or something horribly wrong goes wrong outside of, like, our health, mm-hmm. You know, it all can be kind of trivial at some, you know, at some point. So we just all hope to stay healthy and keep affecting people positively.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned you just got married. Yes, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.